Hey there YouTube, welcome back to the Allegheny Northern in N scale, and today we're doing a much needed layout update. And I realized in reviewing my previous videos that I inadvertently missed March, so this is going to be a March/April update, and we'll jump right into that now. All right, it is that time of year that everything outside in the yard needs tending to, so that took a lot of time in March and April. So modeling time was somewhat at a premium. Plus, then towards the beginning of the month here, we had Easter, so I spent a lot of time with family, and then work decided to get real busy. So there's been some weekend hours and some long nights, and that just all took away from modeling time. As is often the case, when you come back from a hiatus, there are some things that needed done. So some track needed cleaned. You probably can't tell because it's dark under there, but Rexy's riding on a new set of trucks because the trucks that she was riding on, I changed the wheel sets on them, but they were still just not riding correctly. And that's probably one of the oldest cars on the layout. It's an old Bachman actually, and I think it's coming up on damn near probably 28 years. So it's time for a new set of trucks. Other sort of little housekeeping item here are maintenance of weight. Train that's making its way around, usually where Amtrak would be riding. That locomotive needed a little bit of TLC, so it got it this morning. New couplers, microtrains, of course, changing out the old, I think they were Accumate from on Atlas, and it's running a lot better now that it's been oiled and cleaned, and of course, the train is staying connected now that the couplers are in proper alignment. And I know I've preached this before, but I'll preach it again. The couplers and your wheel sets, all that stuff goes bad on your equipment, so every now and then, especially on the older pieces that you may have had running for a while, you just need to get them cleaned up and they'll run like a charm again. Okay, so through March and April, if you've been following the channel and this was just something that happened to pop up, you know that I did a 3-part series on this road building scene. And although it's now, I'm going to put air quotes around this, complete, there's obviously some things that need added. One of them was actually something that, actually 2 of the items were actually something that viewers picked up on. One is we are fairly close to the tracks here with our site. In fact, we're right up against them. And that usually sparks a crew member or a team of crew from the railroad to be on site. So I need to get some Norfolk Southern Jeeps on site. The other thing, and it was a little bit more of an obscure item, but somebody obviously knew their equipment and their processes, was that my road reclaimer soil stabilizer does not have a lime truck in front of it. And that's just one of the additives that can be used to improve soil conditions. So that truck is also missing. There's not a real good model of one out there, so it's either going to be something that's 3D printed, scratch built, something. And then the site definitely needs more construction workers and all that sort of stuff. So there's definitely a room for continued scene improvement, just as there are on all scenes of the layout. If you want to know how I built this scene and go into some of the why things are the way they are on the construction site and why you see things the way you see them when you're driving down the road, check out the 3-part series that preceded this video. Okay, every now and then I do something stupid and I share it with you so that you can also either try to do something stupid or maybe not do something stupid, your choice. And that was the use of this spray foam. Now, I didn't use this as a go-to solution to my problem. I used this as I had the spray foam in my hand working on a house project, and I went, wonder if I could use this. So I think everybody knows that I hated my helix. And I expanded the layout in large part to get rid of my helix. And then when I expanded my layout, I had an issue back here, and that was this section of the turn, basically, to get from the lower level to the upper level was only about 2 foot and that radius was way too tight. So I extended the bench work and put in some flex track over some regular Kato. Now, there's Kato flex track, but I had put in some risers, and I thought, to fill in the area between the risers, maybe I could use this spray foam in my hand. Now, we all know that spray foam expands. That's what it does. So I had weighted down the track and done that. You know what? It just was an abortion of a plan. It just did not work well. It expanded in weird places, especially between the weights. I had bumps in the track. It just I went full in. I went hard to the paint on this plan, and I should have done a small section to see how it worked. You can see here where either the weight shifted or something, and I got one track a little bit higher than the other. Now, I have tested this. All of my cars, including my 89-foot auto racks, they all roll over this. So I don't know how, because, I mean, by and large, when you look at it, it doesn't look bad. Like, it does do what it's supposed to do. But, man, it was just a bunch of work and rework and cleaning and just... It sucked. So this is the stuff that I used. It's a standard. You can get it. You can get it at your local home improvement store. I gotta tell you, does it do what I wanted it to do? Yes. It made it so that if I ever decide to scenic this, I don't have any gaps in the risers underneath the tracks. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. It made too much of a mess. You can still see there's little shavings all over the place. And so because I wouldn't do it again, I certainly am not going to recommend for you to do it again. Great little experiment. Not thrilled with the end results. So I got there. It's there. Train, like I said, trains can run. Not a problem. But man, it just took a lot of effort. Okay, and then the very last thing that I got accomplished in the last 2 months was a complete redo of my hidden staging yard. Now, what I did was I replaced all of the Atlas Flex Track with the Kato Unit Track, Flex Track version, I guess. It's not really Unit Track, but the Kato Flex Track. And I replaced all the Atlas turnouts with number 6s. Now, I could have gotten a lot more track in if I had used the number 4s. But because this is hidden staging, and there will be a number of times when trains are leaving the coal mine and they are coming through the hidden staging to get down to our lower section, that is basically going to be what I'm going to call an unmanned operation, as in I am on the layout side and I'm not watching my trains. I did not want to have to deal with the number 4s. They're a little bit tighter, and although they work just fine, and as long as you don't foul them with ballast or scenery material, they typically don't have an issue. The number 6s are a lot broader, and they just work almost, just mindlessly. So I went with the number 6. I lost a little bit of yard space for that, which sucks, but trains can now run back and forth in any direction. The Atlas ones, I'll tell you what, I really did not. I remember Atlas as a kid, when I was using it for my first couple of layouts, and I just thought that I sucked at model railroading. But the quality is very, very different. I had a lot of issues with those. I had to do a lot of filing of the plastic flanges and the frogs just to get everything to run correctly. And then even then it was kind of temperamental depending on the locomotive and the rolling stock. And they were the snap type machines. They were the cheaper ones. I got them because they were cheap and I could use them in hidden staging and nobody would see them. You know what? It was a mistake. Obviously I recognize that now, but now that I've got the Kato ones in there, Kato, whatever you want to call it, this yard works perfectly, and I don't have to sit back here and watch trains roll through my hidden staging because I know they're going to show up on the other side like they're supposed to. So got that all done, and then obviously you can't see most of the track work because, well, the trains are sitting on it. The track's actually not fastened down yet. The road bed's attached, but the track is sitting loose on top of it, so that's why when you see it, there's some areas that look a little curly-Q-ish. There's just nothing holding it in place, so it's kind of moving around a bit. And then right here, I didn't finish putting the road bed under it because I need to extend a little bit of the layout here to catch this piece that's kind of floating in space. So just got to get that done. Haven't done it yet. But I did get this yard reworked, and like I said, for the most part, it now runs flawlessly. Okay, so for 2 months worth of work, that's where we're at on the layout. So takeaways from this are Cato number 6 switches, good for places where you're hiding them, and you don't want to have to rely on pure luck to keep trains running smoothly when you can't watch them. Spray foam is a very expensive option. That's not real great for scenery material unless you like to make a mess and get frustrated with that. And, it's good to be back in the train room and modeling. So let's talk about some things that are coming up. So you guys that have been following the channel for a while, you know that from time to time I like to do polls and see basically on a topic what everyone's feelings are on it. It's on the communities tab of the channel, so if you haven't checked that out, you need to start checking that out. From time to time I'll post stills there, just some shots from around the layout if I do something and I just take a still. But also the polls that I post there, usually they're for a purpose. One, it's to gauge the next video topic, possibly. So if there's an interest in, say, weathering or something, I may post something about weathering like I did this past week. But it might also just be, another way for us to communicate and sort of grow as a modeling community. So it might just be a random question that I'll share the results with you just because, I thought it was a good question, so I asked it. But I'll always share the results of the polls in an upcoming video, so you can either check out the video or you can always go to the communities tab and take a look at the poll yourself. But, so this last poll was, are you guys weathering your trains? And the results that came back were kind of surprising to me. And that was that most of you are not weathering your trains. The smallest majority, or the smallest the minority, was in the people that are actually weathering their trains for their layout. And the number one reason seems to be that you guys are either afraid to do it or you'd like to do it, but you don't know how. And I kind of put those two together because in either event, you're not weathering your trains. And yes, there's always one of those answers in the poll that is like the ridiculous answer. So it's an answer, but it's not really an answer. I always put that on there just to see who will click it, and you goofballs never disappoint. You pick the goofball answer all the time, and for that, I love you. It's there for you to do that and add a little bit more fun and my type of humor to this. So for those of you who answered, wait, you guys are weathering your trains, this shout out to you guys for keeping things fun and interesting. So there will always be one of those answers. It's just sort of it's an answer, but it's it's obviously not an answer that's meant to be serious. So thanks for picking that for those of you that did. Now, I did this video or this video poll for a reason, and that was because I'm planning on doing some modeling, weathering, and I wanted to see if there was any interest in having that put into a video, and it appears that there is. I've done some videos in the past on weathering, and to be honest with you, they focused on a single technique or a single model, and I think the reason some of you folks who are afraid to do your modeling might have picked the I'm afraid to do my modeling answer, weathering, is because you can find whatever you want on YouTube as far as modeling different weathering techniques. But there's not too many that actually show you all of the techniques together and how they work and the pros and cons. And it's usually, all right, I got this box car, here's how I'm going to weather it, and it's done. So if you already know how to weather, then you can pick up those techniques and go, that's pretty cool. If you're just getting into the hobby and you really have never done it before and you're kind of not sure where to start, that can seem a little intimidating because you've got a modeler who obviously knows what they're doing, and they come out with this beautiful looking model and you go, oh geez, I can't do that. So I'm going to show you some techniques all together, pros and cons, from the powders to the oils to the airbrush, just show you how it goes together. So that will be our next video. I can tell you for the upcoming month of May here, that's going to start I think in a day or two. I don't remember what today's date is, but in a day or two. What I'm going to be working on here is kind of low-key. It's going to be a lot of scenery, improvements, cleanup. I've done so much work on the layout in the last handful of months, even though the last month's been kind of slow, that the layout needs a good scrubbing. Things need vacuumed. Rails need cleaned. So I'm going to get to that here probably today. I'm going to start cleaning up my locomotives. So we've talked about, you know, the locomotives on the layout and how I have basically just a mess of various roads, timelines, fallen flags. What I want to do is I want to make this a little easier for myself, and that is I want to take my locomotives and I want to group them together. So mainline locomotives are going to be in groups of 3 and 4. Switching locomotives are going to be either solos or twos, you know, pairs, and that's how I'm going to group these all together. So speed match, check couplers, grease them, clean them, all of that. So that's going to take a lot of time. I'm not looking forward to it, but it's something that's got to get done on the layout, so I'm going to do it. And the reason is I have some new locomotives coming. I know I've got a problem. We just don't talk about it. But I want to sort of start making way for some new locomotives and locomotives that aren't quite up to par. Not getting rid of them, not taking them off the layout, but I want to start upgrading them so they'll be out of service for a while. So I want to get that sort of in the works. And then lastly, I've got a scene coming up that I think there's a small group of you that are going to find really, really interesting. So you know that by and large, I've modeled fall, autumn, and I've done some transition scenes. So there's some snow in some areas, not snow in other areas, you know, and sort of made that transition between the seasons. So, you know, you've seen it a bunch of times. People have commented on it. I've done videos on both winter and the fall, and of course the transition between the two of them. So that's old topic, but I'm gonna do a rain scene, and there's nothing better than a rainy autumn night, and so I'm going to model a rainy autumn night scene in the area between my staging and my workbench. And the idea is, in this area, it's always going to be night, and it's going to be raining, and I'm going to show you how we're going to simulate that. I've got some ideas on my head. I haven't really mocked it up yet, so I don't know how exactly I'm going to do it. Got some ideas, but I'm going to put paintbrush to the scene here soon and start working on that. That's going to be the next major project. So I don't know when I'm going to get to it. It's on the books. Wanted to let you know it's coming out. So stay tuned for that, because it's going to be interesting, because I'm not exactly sure how well it's going to work. So and I know that rain is not a condition that's typically modeled in model railroading, because once again, just like snow, it's very difficult to make it look realistic and make it look believable. But we're sure it's going to give it hell here and try. So it might totally flop, or it might be totally awesome. You'll have to check in the video to find out which option it is. Okay, that's it for us here at the Allegheny Northern. So until next time, keep taking a look at the Communities tab for the happenings and the polls, and then may get another video here in the next week or so, maybe just some trains running, and we'll see how that plays out. All right, everybody, happy modeling, and until next time, signing off here for the Allegheny Northern.